Racking up a bunch of debt is probably the worst way you can start a business. I'm going to tell you something about starting with what you have. That's what we did here. That's what I recommend everybody does, right? When you're starting a business, people think, oh, I need to go buy this, I need to go buy that, I need to buy 100 different things. I'm going to talk about what some of those things cost. When you're looking at it and you're saying, I need to plan a budget, you need to look at what you already have, right? Let's start. You need a truck for this kind of business, right? No way around it. Now, you need tools. What does a truck cost? Good used truck, I'd say $10,000. A good set of quality power tools, I prefer DeWalt. Everybody's got their own brand that they like, but I prefer DeWalt. A good DeWalt set, you're probably looking at about $500, right? Other than that, there is not a whole lot you need. Now, chances are you already have a car, right? If you're looking at starting some kind of a handyman business or a construction business, you probably already have a vehicle for what you're doing in your daily life. So I'm going to assume, even if it's not a truck, you've got something that you can throw power tools and some ceiling fans and a toilet or two, some small things in, even a sedan. Believe it or not, when I started, I did have a sedan. I quickly moved up to an SUV, but you can make a lot of work out of a sedan. Now, tools, you may have tools, you may not have tools. It depends what you're doing in your current day job, right? But if you don't have tools, $500 will get you a really nice set of DeWalt tools. It'll get you a couple batteries, drills, everything else that you need. Now, if you already have that, you don't even need to get these, right? So you could pretty much get started for almost nothing. Now you're talking you need gas money, and that's about it, right? So that's why I think it's important to take an inventory of what you already have. Because a lot of people, what they'll do when they start a business is they'll say, we're getting out red because this is bad. People will say, I need a new truck so that I look good, so that the brand looks good. It needs to be a nice, clean, shiny truck, right? Let's go new truck. Even if you're buying a nice used truck, you're probably looking at $20,000, right? Now let's say you're going to say, I need every single tool for every single job I may ever be hired for. Well, how big are we talking? I mean, you could buy a $1,000 set of tools, and then you could buy a $4,000 sewer snake, which is a great tool, but it's not something you're probably going to use every day when you're first starting out. What else could you buy? Let's say you need a new wet saw because maybe you're doing tile. Well, there goes $1,000. Let's say you want a big table saw. There goes $600. That's probably not something you're going to use every day. What else might you want? Maybe you want to wrap your truck. Now, all of our cars are wrapped. Every single one of them. All of our maintenance vans, my van, or my SUV, Frank's van, everything is wrapped. Those cost us $1,500 per car. What else comes with that? Let's say you want software. Now, I recommend that you get software because you're going to need it, but you don't need it right away. Now, if you do want it right away and you want to start out right, one of our sponsors, Jobber, I'll put the link down in the description for you. You'll get a free trial, and then you'll get a discounted plan because they're a good sponsor of ours. So if you need software, check them out. But let's say that software runs you $300 a month. What else do you want? Maybe you want a new tablet. What's a tablet cost? I think an iPad is like $800. So over here, if we're buying all this stuff we don't need because we think we need it and we want to look good and this and that and the other, you know what else we didn't include? A uniform. So this jacket here, you can see it's embroidered. The whole back of this jacket, from the top of my shoulder to my waistline, is all hand-stitched embroidered with the logo that you see right here. Now, that's expensive. I think each one of these jackets, I have one, Frank has one, Tristan has one, a couple of us have them. But these jackets alone cost $300 with the embroidery. On top of that, we've all got polos that are embroidered with the logo, all hand-stitched embroidered. Each one of these polos cost $100, right? Now, this is really me and Frank are the only ones that have them, but imagine you want that. You're adding another $500 just in your uniform, when just as quickly over here, let's stay with the black on this one. Let's say you want a nice uniform and you want some clean work pants, a pair of clean boots, stuff like that. You could do it relatively cheap by just ordering from any of these online places where you can get a t-shirt with your logo on it for $15. You can get a nice pair of boots for $100, but you can get a pair of, workman's pants for about $20 to $40. So they don't have to be Carhartt, they don't have to be expensive. Let's total it up. we're at $700 to start our business, right? Now, if you use our link for the free software, which is Jobber, which is great for estimates, photos, client updates, all that other stuff, you can get that for $0. So over here, you're all in at $700. Let's do the math over here. 21, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. You're all in at about $30,000 over here. So if I'm starting a business and I'm going out there and trying to make money, I'd much rather start with $700 spend than a $30,000 spend, right? The only thing you really need to get going is tools. You probably already own a vehicle. You probably already have boots and things, but we're going to pretend you don't. And then you're going to use our free software from our sponsor, like I said. You're going to be up and running for $700. Now, why is this important? Let's go over some of the math of this. Now, over here, we had $700 is your investment. Over here, we've got $30,000. One of these numbers is a lot bigger than the other, right? Now, if you remember earlier, our rate was $50 an hour is what we were trying to make. So if we go 700 divided by 50, we need to work 14 hours to pay back our initial investment. That's not too bad. You could really do that in 2 days. You could probably do it in 1 day if you wanted to pull a long day. When we first started, we were going 12, 14, 16 hours every single day. So, I mean, in 2 days, you could pay back your initial investment, right? If you go over here, you go $30,000, and you're still doing $50 an hour. That's going to be 600 hours. Now, that's assuming that you don't need any of this money to live off of, which is probably not the case, right? You're gonna need this money to pay your bills. So this probably doubles. Let's call it 1,200 hours to pay this off. And even if this doubles, let's call it 28 hours. 28 hours divided by 8, that's 3.5 days. 2 weekends of doing odd jobs, side jobs, whatever, you could pay this off. 1,200 hours, I don't even know how long that is. This is 150 8-hour work days to pay back your initial investment. This is 3.5 8-hour work days to pay back your investment. So when you're starting a business, would you rather start in a position where it takes you 3.5 days to make back your money? Or would you rather start where it takes 150 days before you make back any of your money? I know where I'd rather start. Now, and as a matter of fact, that's where we did start. The next thing is you start making some profit here. Now we can talk about wrapping the truck. A nice embroidered custom logos, uniforms, all that kind of stuff. And your logo doesn't need to be expensive. There was a girl who had just graduated with some kind of art degree or something, and she was making logos for $50 a piece. And so I paid her $50 and said, will you make me a logo? $50, we got this logo made. Obviously I told her what I wanted, she made it, we were done. $50 easy. So maybe you want to think about branding after you've started to make some money. Now you can buy special case tools, right? So like a snake, you're not going to use it every day, but every time you use it, you could probably charge $300, $400, $500 depending on your market. It's not going to take too long to pay that back. That's how we want to operate all this, right? We want to look at what we have, we want to start there, and then we want to expand out. Then maybe you want to buy a snake, you want to buy a wet saw, you want to buy a table saw, you want to buy all these special use tools that you're not going to use every day, but you can charge a little more money for when you're using them. And then 3.5 days is also a lot easier to do, just on the fact of it's hard. Imagine Imagine working 150 days before you've turned a profit. That's pretty difficult to do. Now imagine you've worked for 4 days and you've already turned a profit. One of these you're going to be a lot happier on. So that's why I say the best thing you want to do is to just start. These are new markers. I got to learn how to write with them. So start with what you have, right? Or you can go into debt. Now debt is good. Debt has a place. You need to know how to use it and when to use it. Now we have debt. We have multiple trucks. We have multiple big projects, infrastructure things that we're paying for. Our team costs money. We have a ton of software. We have camera equipment and all this stuff, right? That's because we were able to start here, get profitable quickly, and then turn that profit into other things. But when you're starting, you want to start with what you have. Do an inventory of your truck. Is it good enough to fit some stuff in, some materials? Use it. Do an inventory of your tool bag. You got enough to do basic jobs? Use it. That's all you got to do. So this is another video in this little educational series we're doing. If you've enjoyed it, you can click back to start from the first video right here. This is video number 2, and I hope you watch the rest of them.